我觉得也太可怜了。
I feel so pitiful. I'm already 28 years old, but I've never even been in a relationship. I've never held a boy's hand, I've never kissed a boy's lips. Every day I'm under so much pressure, and on top of that I have to go on blind dates. I even have dandruff, yet I still have to sit down and eat with strangers, and each meal costs several hundred yuan. I can't even bring myself to buy a pair of shoes for myself. Valentine's Day is coming soon, and it'll be my 28th single Valentine's Day. But it's okay, I'll still go spend it with those two people. Two people plus one more doesn't really make a difference. It's just that recently the pressure has been heavy, and at that moment I couldn't hold back my emotions. I still hope everyone won't feel anxious because of my video. We all deserve to love and to be loved. In modern China, you can walk through the streets of Beijing, Shanghai, or Chengdu and see young women dressed in stylish clothes, holding the latest smartphones, sipping bubble tea, and laughing with their friends. They look like they have it all together, the very picture of modern, urban independence. Yet behind this appearance of confidence and self-sufficiency, there's a striking reality that many outside China don't quite realize. Millions of Chinese women in their late 20s and even 30s have never had a boyfriend, never been in love, and some have never even experienced a kiss. I'm 42, unmarried, and without children. I often ask myself one question: if I stay single like this, what will happen when I grow old, get sick, and lie in a hospital bed with no one to take care of me? In my 20s and 30s, I never thought about these things. I always felt I was still young, not in a hurry, and that I would definitely meet the right person. But as time passed and as I got older, I realized I feel more and more lonely, more and more afraid, and more anxious. Some people tell me, at your age, without the burden of children, without the mess of marriage, isn't that wonderful? But in reality, I'm truly terrified of growing old without companionship, and even more afraid of being sick and alone. For many women in China, their teenage years and early 20s are dominated by studies. The Gaokao, China's infamous national college entrance exam, is a make-or-break moment. Families place enormous pressure on children, especially daughters, to perform well academically. Dating during high school is often considered a distraction, even a disgrace. Teachers and parents discourage romantic relationships, and many schools enforce strict rules that keep boys and girls apart. A girl caught holding hands with a boy could face punishment, gossip, or even be shamed by her family. In this kind of environment, a young woman might go through her most formative years, never even thinking seriously about romance. Is it easy for a 1994-born virgin to find a partner? Today, a young woman born in 1994 came to talk to me. She told me she's had 2 boyfriends, but never had any more intimate contact with them, at most just kissing and hugging. She never crossed the final boundary, which is why none of her relationships lasted until the end. I asked her why, and she said it's probably because she's too conservative. Anyway, before marriage, she won't have sexual relations with a man. One of her boyfriends dated her for over a year, but in the end, they broke up because their relationship never progressed further. She told me her family values were instilled in her since childhood, and she can't accept anything different. Even in the future, she said she would still stick to this. So she asks, do you think this kind of woman can easily find a partner? If it were you, could you accept it? The irony is that while women are taught to prioritize education and careers, they are also judged harshly if they remain single past a certain age. A woman who reaches 27, 28, or 30 without a boyfriend begins to be labeled with a painful term, shengnu or leftover woman. This phrase carries enormous social stigma, and it's one reason why so many women, despite being attractive, educated, and financially stable, end up feeling undesirable in the marriage market.
我都32岁了，可是我还没有遇到小。
I'm already 32 years old, but I still haven't met someone I truly want to marry. For a man, 32 might be the brightest time in his life, but for a woman, it feels like the darkest, because I'm standing at a crossroads of life choices. Every day I wonder, should I settle for someone I don't really love just for the sake of marriage? If my future turns out unhappy, if life becomes nothing but a mess, and I have children, will my child end up hating me? If I don't marry, I could live freely and unrestrained for the rest of my life. But what if, when I'm old, I have no one to rely on, and I end up lonely until death? Will I regret it then? I really don't have a good answer to this question. I'm often torn, crying through the night, not knowing where my future lies. All I can think of is, no matter what I choose, ahead of me is nothing but endless fear. Here's where the contradiction becomes clear. On one hand, women are discouraged from dating young. On the other, they're expected to be married by their mid-20s. The result is a large group of women who, through no fault of their own, reach adulthood with little or no romantic experience. By the time they hit 30, some realize they've never had a boyfriend, never held hands in a meaningful way, and yes, never been kissed. Damn, I think I've really been single for too long. I've gone lopsided, even gone a bit crazy. Has no one noticed how domineering that little voice message button on WeChat is? Hold to talk, release to send. It's like, stand up. Sit down. Doesn't anyone else think that's super bossy? You hold to talk, fine. But then they even add that little pause in the middle, so now whenever I send a voice message, I feel all shy about it. When you finish, you have to release to send. Damn, really, I've been single so long I've gone kind of nuts. I actually feel like it's so domineering, so cool, so attractive. The numbers are startling. Surveys and social media discussions in China often reveal stories of women in their late 20s who openly admit to never having dated. Online forums like Weibo and Xiaohongshu are filled with posts from women saying things like, "I'm 29 and still waiting for my first kiss," or "I've never been in love, but I don't even know how to start." These confessions attract thousands of comments from other women in the same situation, proving just how widespread the issue really is. These days, it's like all the guys have collectively given up. The ones who have a car and a house just spend their time fishing, camping, fiddling with prayer beads, or drinking and chatting with their buddies. The ones without a car or house just completely lie flat, playing games, raising cats, and joking about themselves like, "I won't get married anyway, so I might as well just enjoy being a happy homebody." Even their parents nagging them to get married doesn't work anymore. Meanwhile, the girls are getting anxious and stomping their feet, but the guys are acting like they've already retired early and are just enjoying single life. If you've been single for more than 7 years like me, I sincerely suggest you just find someone to date first. Don't overthink it, don't worry about whether it will last till the end, just start dating. After being single for 7 years, you've become rusty at relationships. You don't know how to interact with the opposite sex anymore, you don't know how to chat, you might not even remember what it feels like to hold hands. So hurry up and find someone to date, that's the best way. The problem is that time is ruthless, and reality doesn't wait for anyone. Many of these women entered their 20s with the confidence of queens. They were young, attractive, educated, and ambitious. Men courted them, sometimes lined up for their attention. A woman in her 20s could afford to be picky because she had youth and beauty on her side. But instead of seeing relationships as mutual growth, a lot of them were told they deserved the best. So they turned down average men, the office worker with a modest salary, the honest guy from a small town, the classmate who liked them but wasn't rich enough. To them, those men simply weren't good enough. Why marry a man making 5,000 RMB a month when there's a guy out there making 30,000? Why choose the man who rents when you could wait for one who owns a condo? Why settle for an ordinary face when a taller, more handsome one might appear?